Okay, so to reiterate that again, so the people that are going to watch the video, the IHSA test is available now. So please go online and download it. Um, Try and answer the questions as best you can without um, looking the rules up right away. Um, you know, again, it's probably a good thing to try and just test your knowledge that way. Uh, and I see Sam put in Jeff Collis's email in the chat, so it's over there for you if you want to jot that down. Um, so again, try and take the test without looking up the rules, and then by all means go and look up the rules. In the case book, there are some case book answers. There's obviously a lot of rule book answers, and just kind of go over it and have everything ready for next week. Next week we will start working on the test. My goal will be is to get like at least the first 25 to 30 questions done next week and then have other topics to talk about. We'll finish the test up the following week and then um, you should be all good to go as far as taking the test. Just so you know, I will not be recording the test portion of the clinic next week or the meeting next week and the week after. Just, you know, want everybody to be able to put some effort into finding the answers and all of that. If you don't happen to have the answers and you want to discuss things, you're more than welcome to give myself a call. I'm more than willing and open to discussing any of the questions that you might have. The online rules video is also available now too. Um, and that goes over essentially what was in the preseason handout. Uh, but in any event, that's also available. You do need to watch that. You do need to pass the test and make sure that all of your other requirements are up to date as far as you know, concussion protocol, concussion testing, and sportsmanship. Uh, those videos need to be up to date. Otherwise, the IHSA is not going to give you the pass to be assigned games. And Jeff is really looking at that as well because that can come down on him as well from the state. So make sure everything is up to date on that. Any questions about any of that right now? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get with you because I got a wrestling meet next Tuesday night, so I can't be here. Can I let
No
my
problem.
wife listen in?
She can. She can log in. You know, and again, because I will know if it's you or not. Just don't turn on the video. So I have no idea if it's you or if it's her. So, uh, but yeah, like I say, the thing is, I've seen the test, and yeah, the veteran people should be able to get through it and look up the answers and that. Like I say, do your best, and if you have a question about something, again, just reach out. Not a problem. Anyone else? Okay. So, what I'm looking at tonight is going to be mostly with lineup card management and DP flex. If we have some time towards the end, uh, well, actually, why don't I just ask out right now? Does anybody have any questions or any thoughts regarding what we covered last week at the end with working the wedge? I know we only got through a couple of the videos. I do have some more videos of working the wedge. Um, do we have a sense that we want to see any more of the videos on working the wedge before we get into lineup management and DP flex? You can put it in the chat or come off mute, or we're all good with working the wedge.
For the asking, at any point, do you, I agree with you, working the wedge, like coming in into third, coming off third, coming into home plate, working the wedge, coming off there off the straight line. Is there at any point you would circle around to have like pitcher's mound at your back?
Yes, there is the potential of working all the way around. You know, it whatever gives you as the umpire your best view of all four elements. So yeah, it doesn't have to be third base line extended. You can be further around to your right and then even coming around into the infield to see that play. I have in my time using the wedge and working the wedge, I have uh, gone totally inside like that. The only thing with that is just making sure that you're not going to be in the line of fire if that catcher's coming back up to make another throw for a play in the infield. So you just got to be aware of that as well. But yeah, I mean, uh, especially on some of those throws that are coming from right field, you might be moving a little bit further inside and inside the infield to get the best view. That's a good question, a good thought. Like I say, the big thing is make sure you have your head on a swivel because if that catcher comes up firing, you better be ducking. Any other questions on that? All right, so DP flex is something that can be a bit of a bone of contention, especially if things are not ruled on appropriately. Substitutions are not allowed or allowed that shouldn't be allowed. Um, some coaches out there are very, very good with it and know exactly what to do with it and how to play it to their advantage. Other coaches they just want to try it out and give it their best bet. So that's where you need to know what are going to be legal substitutions, legal movement between the flex and the DP. The flex, and if there's an offensive player versus if the defensive player, or excuse me, the DP is playing defense. So all those are things that you need to be aware of, and especially for the new guys. Um, on the lower levels, uh, if you have a JV coach or a freshman coach that's using a DP flex, be ready for questions and be ready to educate them on what is legal and what is not legal, because they can get into wanting to do a lot of different things. Um, I'm going to go and show some videos from the IHSA website um, on the DP flex and also with lineup card management. Before I get into that, talking about lineup card management in your plate game, in your plate, home plate pregame with the coaches, make sure that whenever you're doing that, um, you coaches come out, captains come out, you as the plate umpire are the one who's going to be looking over the lineup cards. Uh, Try and make it a habit or make it a habit that the home team's lineup card is the first one that you look at. Um, Look down the lineup card, see if they have the flex in the 10 spot. If they do, make sure they have a DP. Where's the DP at? What part of the lineup? Um, Checking for the names, making sure that there are no duplicate numbers, making sure that all the substitutes are listed. These are all important things as you're going through it. Once you've gone over the lineup card and say they do have the DP flex as part of their options, hand the card back to the head coach. Ask them to review it one last time, make sure that their names, numbers, and everything are correct. While he's doing that or she's doing that, look at the visiting team. Do the same thing with the visiting team's lineup card, making sure there's positions are all there, making sure all the numbers are there, players are there, there's no duplicates. Um, and again, give it back to the visiting team coach, ask them to do one last check. After they've had their last checks, get the lineups in your hand. Um, And then once that they're all good with it, make the lineup official at that time. Don't ask if they want any changes. Don't ask if they want to, move their flex in or anything like that. Make the lineup card official first, and then ask if they have any changes that they want to make. Reason behind that is if you have a coach that is using the DP flex and the DP is in batting in the fifth spot, the flex is the pitcher. And You ask if they want changes. The coach says, yes, I want my DP to pitch. Okay. Lineup card's not official. So now the person on the lineup card is the pitcher. The DP is now considered the pitcher. Then you make it official. You have now taken their lineup card from 10 to 9 because you made it official that that person in the 5 spot is now the pitcher. They're no longer the DP, they're the pitcher prior to you making it official. So if you don't and you make it, like I say, you make it official uh, after they've done that kind of a substitution, the other team's coach is real smart. They're going to say their lineup's only 9. It's not 10 anymore. It was never 10 because you made it official at 9. So, any questions on that, or did I totally confuse everybody? Oh, good. I didn't confuse everybody. All right. So, let's.
Okay, so you're going from a lineup card of 10 to 9. Are you batting only 9 or are you batting 10?
Okay. When you have the DP in playing, there's only going to be 9 players that are batting. Okay. And you have only 9 players who ever be playing the field. So your DP is essentially your offensive player. They're always going to bat. Your flex player is your defensive player, your defensive specialists. Okay. So you have if the DP is now taking a position and the flex is no longer in the game, your lineup has now dropped down to 9. And you can go back to 10, but at that moment your lineup is only 9 because the DP is playing defense. Okay. And when I get into the video here, it'll explain it a little bit better as well. So let me. Are you seeing? Is the screen showing me logging in right now?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So if you go on to your home page, you'll see on the side here, Officials Education Center. There's a lot of good videos and PowerPoints that are in this that you can go to. So within the official center, within the educational piece, go into resources, go in softball and click go. So within here, these are all the documents, PowerPoints, PDF, different things like that. DP Flex cheat sheet card is in here. You can open that up, take a look at it, maybe even print it out for yourself. Over here are the videos. This one is the DP Flex with the living lineup. It's about between 25, 27 minutes long. But it's worth it because it does a really good job of explaining things and also gives you like a real live living lineup as they call it. So let's
So we'll go ahead and get started. The two things I'm going to cover in this presentation is kind of a new way to look at the DP Flex. We talked about it earlier. We've had that rule in place for many years, but we still get questions every year about implementation of it. We still get protests on things that were misapplied during games. So again, kind of another way to kind of step through it here. And then also we did a little bit of living lineup a couple years ago, and that was kind of taken pretty well, and kind of some physical aspects to lineup management, if you will, to kind of help some of the visual learners and the kinesthetic learners. So we're going to cover that just a little bit more detail.
I'm just going to pause this for a quick second. If you have any questions during this video, please come off mute and ask the question. The way I have my screen set up, I cannot see the chat at this time. So, like I say, don't hesitate, come off mute, and pop your question in, and we can discuss it and pause the video.
This time. So starting off with stepping through the DP flex. This is something that's kind of confusing to both coaches and some umpires. Again, it's been around for a long time, but there are a lot of things that you can do with DP flex that aren't very well understood because people don't use it that often. So when it does happen, some people kind of scratch their heads. So we're going to start off through a step-by-step process through DP flex. Each step's going to build on the other one. We'll go through some of the more common uses of why you might do that. And then we'll also, again, build on each step to get a little more complicated, if you will, as we go. So start at the beginning and go forward. So step one is know your job. To be in the game, you've got to have a job. If you don't have a job, you're not in the game. Okay, so first step is know our job. So most players have two jobs. They play offense and defense, right? Most of our players, what the DP flex does is it splits that position into two jobs. So we have a DP who's an offensive specialist. Their job, if you will, is to play offense. The flex is now our defensive specialist, and their job is to play defense. They can do some other things that we'll talk about, but their main job is to play defense. So those positions have to be declared and occupied at the beginning of the game. So we can't wait till the third inning and say, hey, that DP flex that other team's doing looks pretty cool. I want to try it, right? We have to start off with DP flex, and those positions have to be active when we start the game if we want to use them anytime through the game. Okay, so it has to be in our starting lineup. So again, at that plate conference, when I get it, I have to have DP flex on that lineup if you want to use it anytime during the game. Cool? So step two now, if you keep doing your job, you haven't left the game. So how do you keep doing your job? Again, like we said, our DP is our offensive specialist. Their job, if you will, is to play offense. So as long as they continue to play offense in their spot in the lineup, they've never left the game. As long as that, like I said, look at that. The flex is our defensive specialist. Again, as long as they do their job by playing defense, they can occupy any of those 9 positions on defense. But when their team's out there on defense, they have to be in one of those 9 positions or they've left the game because they're not doing their job anymore. Cool? All right. So now those are the 2 base parts of it. We'll get into step 3, where the flex is going to do the DP's job. So the flex is going to play offense. We talked about how they split those jobs into 2 positions. If you actually look in our rule book, it actually says that the DP is batting for the flex. That flex player is listed in the 10th position. The person for which the DP is batting for is the flex, and they're in the 10th position in the lineup. So that ties those 2 together on offense because they're batting for the flex. So if that flex is going to play offense, they're going to bat or run, they have to do that in the DP spot. So that ties them together on the offensive side. So again, if that happens, my DP is not doing their job, right? They're not playing offense anymore. They've now left the game, and I'm down to 9 active players. So I started the game with 10, and now I'm down to 9 active because my DP has left the game. They're not doing their job. Somebody else is playing offense, okay? So that position is still available for that starting DP to re-enter the game or for a substitute to enter as the new DP. So the position's still there. It's just not active at this moment, okay? So if the flex bats in any other position in the lineup, it's an illegal sub. It's like we said, they're tied to the DP spot. So if they try to go in any other spot, that's going to be an illegal sub. So they've got to go in the DP's position. Cool? So why would somebody want to do this? Let's say that the flex plays first base and they're a great hitter but a really slow runner. So they're kind of like me. They can turn a triple into a single. Okay? I'll barely get on first base. So my DP is a really, really fast runner but not a very good hitter. So this has helped. One of the coaching strategies is I can use my DP flex to my advantage. My flex can bat and get on base, and then my DP can re-enter and run for him. I'll go back to playing defense only as the flex, and I've never left the game. So that's one of those nice things we can do to move people around. So showing that on our lineup card again, the DP has now left the game. the flex is doing both jobs, and I show that arrow up to show who's actually batting in that fourth or seventh position, in the lineup. Everybody cool with that? Our Cooper, again, they have actually, you can't point on a TV with this. Cooper's actually left the game, but they have their one re-entry. Okay? So now I get on base and whew, a little window, I made it to first base safe. So now I'm going to bring my DP back in. I show them as re-entering. And now I show my flex going back to playing defense only. What's important about that is if I continued to play defense as the flex, I've never left the game. I did both jobs. Now I'm back to just doing one job. DP's back to doing their job. They're back in the game. Cool? So again, I never quit doing my job because every time we went out on defense, I was one of those 9 players that went out on defense. So now step 4, let's do this the other way. We're going to have our DP do the flex's job. So our DP is going to go out and play defense for the flex. So if that flex no longer plays defense, they're not doing their job, they've left the game. That gets me back to 9 active players. So again, we start with 10 active. If the DP is going to play defense for the flex, they're going to leave the game. I've got 9 active players. Again, that position is still available. So as the starting flex, I can re-enter, or you can put an eligible sub into the flex position. Make sense? Awesome. So again, if a legal sub would enter the flex position, then I would still have 10 active players. My starting flex would leave the game, and we would have, again, 10 active players. So either I would come back in if I re-enter, or the flex would come back in. We would go back to 10 active. Cool? All right. So why would we want to do this? Let's say our DP is batting 7th and our flex is listed 1st. So we start with DP flex. Okay? Now let's say that once that lineup is official, the coach says, my DP is going to play defense and they're going to pitch. Is that legal to do at the plate conference after I've said both lineups are official as an umpire? Sure it is. You can start making substitutes as soon as those lineups are official. So that's what they're doing here. So why would they want to do that though? Well, let's say that my starting pitcher is a really good hitter and my flex is my second best pitcher, but they're not a very good hitter. Okay? So if my DP begins to struggle later in the game pitching, I can re-enter my flex, have them pitch, and I get to keep my better batter for the whole game because my DP is going to bat the whole game, right? They're my offensive specialist. So that allows me a strategy there where I can bring in my backup pitcher, but I don't have to put that terrible bat in the lineup. My DP gets to stay hitting. So again, another coaching strategy that people use. So what that looks like on our card here, again, we do kind of mark number 1 there as our DP. They are playing that position. Green has left the game because they're no longer doing their job. They're not playing defense. I do mark that because if my DP is my pitcher, they are eligible to have a courtesy runner, right? So I want to keep track of them being the pitcher because they could have a courtesy runner while they're pitching. So one thing that's very, very important that we have a lot of discussion about, again, this is probably one of the biggest things that comes up year after year is positions live forever. So if you start with DP flex positions, those positions will be available through the whole game. Okay? So we got to start with DP flex, like we mentioned. It's got to be in your starting lineup. Once you do that, those positions are available for that entire game. So we could have 10 active players or we could have 9 active players, like we talked about. Flex doing the DP's job or DP doing the flex's job. That's when you go down to 9 players. But you could have 9 or 10 active players. The important thing to remember is an eligible sub can enter into those positions at any time. Okay? So players lose eligibility, but positions live forever. That's one of the biggest misconceptions people have is they think once that DP leaves the second time, the DP position's done. No, players lose eligibility. Positions are always available for eligible subs to come into. Okay, so positions live forever. Again, like we said, you've only got 1 re-entry as a player, but that position is still available for that eligible sub to come into. Cool? So later in the game, we're going back to that flex doing the DP's job. So I'm first base and I can turn that triple into a single, right? So I go out there and I hit another one to the wall and I make it to first base. Cooper is done for the game, right? When I went into bat for them, Cooper left for a second time. Players only have 1 re-entry. So they're done for the game when they leave a second time. So now they can't come back in, right? Because they're done for the game. My flex is going to bat. I show them coming up to bat. No problem there. So now when I get on base, Cooper can't re-enter. Like we said, they're done. But any of those 4 eligible subs down there, they can come in to that DP position because position lives forever. It's still available. So now coach says, Blue, I want number 10 to run for the flex. Now, what's really important to us as umpires is we got to know what you mean by that. Because you have 2 options when you say that. You could have number 1, number 10 enter in the DP position, and the flex go back to playing defense only. If that happens, that means that green has never left the game because they keep doing their job on defense, right? They never quit playing defense. They never leave the game as a flex. So that's my first option as a coach. You could want that. Or you could want number 10 to enter into the flex position and play offense and defense. So it's important as an umpire that we ask you, coach, which do you want? You want them to come in as the DP or you want them to come in as the flex?
I want to pause that there for a moment. Anybody have any questions about that? Because that can get very confusing if you don't, like he's saying, make sure you clarify from the coach what they want that substitute to be coming in for. Does everybody understand the difference on that? Okay, judging by the silence, I think we got it. All right. Thank you.
Dave, real quick here.
Sorry, go ahead.
Number 2, the DP position still exists, right? If he comes in and plays offense and defense, going back to what the guys have said, the position lives on.
Correct.
So another sub can come into the DP position.
Right. So what you're looking to clarify within that particular situation, because the flex is now batted for the DP, the original DP, Cooper. Cooper is now done for the day. She's gone. Okay. So they want to bring in a substitute. Are they subbing for the DP that no longer has eligibility? Or are they subbing in for the flex?
Because my question is, if she's subbing in for the flex, so she's going to be in the 10th position on the scorecard, and green is out.
Okay, so what would happen there? We'll just use Howell as this person. So Howell is coming in and is going to be substituting for green as the flex. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, that's the number 2 scenario on the slide.
Right. So Howell is in batting 7, but as the flex. So if they want to bring in Baker to be the DP, that's fine. They can bring Baker in as the DP in the 7 spot, and now Howell drops down into the 10 slot as the flex, and Baker is now your DP.
But green's not done. This is her first time out.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's why.
Yeah.
Wait,
so Howell would be in as the flex. Green is out for her first time. She has 1 re-entry left.
Yeah. So somebody's going to potentially come back in and be the DP if he chooses.
Correct. So
Okay.
he can either leave Howell in as, in that DP spot, in the 7 spot, but they're at 9 in their lineup. Okay. So at that point in time, the flex is playing both offense and defense.
Okay. If he wants to go back to 10, he can bring in green or somebody else to slot in.
Correct. Well, if he brings green back in, that's taking Howell out. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because they're sharing the flex position.
Correct.
Okay.
If Howell subbed for green, she's the flex.
Yeah, gotcha. All right.
So if they want to go back to having a DP, they would have to enter Baker, Smith, or Brown as the DP in the 7 spot and moving Howell or Green, if Green came back in, back down to the flex position.
This is why there's 25-minute videos on this.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? That's a good question. Like I say, this is the time whenever things can get really confusing, get really mucked up if coaches aren't sure what they're doing or who they're subbing for. That's where we need to make sure we know who they're subbing for.
playing defense.
Right.
If they are, they never left the game. If they're not, they've left the game. So that's critical in that, keeping track of those lineups and eligibility of our players, which one the coach wants. So they come out and say, okay, I want option 1. I want number 10 to be my DP, and I want my flex to go back to playing defense only. So that's not a problem. We show that. Hal, number 10, is a sub in the 7th position in the lineup as the DP, and we show our flex going back to playing defense only. So again, the big thing here is the flex never quit doing their job. They always played defense, so they never left the game. Cool? So now here's one that blows a lot of people's minds. Our DP can do another player's defensive job. So we mentioned that most players have 2 jobs, right? They play offense and defense. Step 4 talked about when the DP comes in and does the flex's job. Flex left the game because they're not playing defense. Instead of playing defense for the flex, that DP can come in and play defense for one of the other 8 batters. When they do that, guess what that player still does? They still bat. They've still got a job. So they haven't left the game. So again, they're only doing one of their 2 jobs now, but they're still doing a job. They have not left the game. Make sense? That's the thing that people sometimes don't get their mind around, because they're not out there playing defense, but they're still going to play offense. So they've still got a job. They're still in the game. Okay? So that, again, allows the flex and the DP to both play defense at the same time. Because as a flex, I can play first base. DP can come in and play second base, or whatever the other 8 positions out there. So that's why they're allowed to both play defense, but only one can play offense, like we talked about before. Okay? So again, most common uses for this is, let's say we got a player who's having a bad day. Something's going on. You need to come in and have a little talk with her, get her calmed down, get her ready to go back out there. Okay? So the other scenario is, what if they get a slight injury? So I slid into third base and I tweaked my ankle just a little bit as they were playing that tag, and I was the 3rd out of the inning. I want to get my ankle taped, but I don't have time to do that because we're going right back on to defense, and they're coming out, the trainer's coming from the other field to come over and tape me. I don't want to take them out of the game because they're my best defender, let's say, but I also need to get them taken care of. So instead of having to take them out of the game, I can put my DP out there, let them get their treatment, and then put them right back out into the game without them ever having to leave the game. So those are our 2 big reasons. Again, ankle taped, or say they got a little spot that's starting to bleed where they slid into that rough limestone that we have on some of our field. Get that treated, then we can get them back out there. Okay, so again, one thing to remember here too is, by definition, this is not a substitution because nobody's leaving the game. So it doesn't technically have to be reported, but as an umpire, it's a good preventative umpiring measure to ask them to tell you. Okay, and let me know if your DP is going to play defense. Because what's the other team going to think? If they see number 7 that's never played defense the whole time come out, that's an unreported sub. I'm going to get something out of this, right? It's technically not a substitution. So if they come up and ask me, hey, what about number 7 playing defense? It's just DP playing defense, coach. It's not a sub. I'll already know that, right? As an umpire, if you tell me. If you don't, now I'm looking at my lineup card going, number 7 playing defense. Oh, wait. And then I'll figure it out, right? So it just helps you be a little more fluid on that when you get asked that question. So good preventative umpiring there. So again, we're going to say in the 7th position in our lineup here, you see number 4 there. They're playing second base for Abel up there in the 2nd spot in the lineup. Again, Abel is going to continue to bat, so they still have a job. They haven't ever left the game. Make sense? Cool? So summary is, what's important to us as far as if you're in the game is, do you have a job? Do you still have that job? If you have a job, then you have not left the game. The DP's job is to play offense, like we talked about. That's their main job. If they continue to play offense, they've never left the game. Flex's job, again, is to play defense. So if they continue to play defense, they have never left the game. They can do both, but if they continue to play defense, they've never left the game. Flex can play offense, but again, only in the DP's position, because that's who's batting for them. They have to bat for themselves then. Again, when they do that, the DP loses their job and they've left the game. DP can also play defense. If they play defense for the flex loses their job, so they sit down, they've left the game. If they play defense for one of the other 8 batters in the lineup, that person still bats, they still have a job, they're still in the game. Okay? So again, I want to hit this one more time. Positions or jobs are available for the entire game. Someone else can fill that job and become the DP, or someone else can become the flex, but those positions live forever. Players lose eligibility, positions live forever. Okay. Any questions on that? Cool. Talking about the living lineup. What this helps do is adds a little bit of.
Okay, so before they get into the background and the living lineup and all, does anybody here have any questions on what all he just went over and finished up with?
Hey, Dave, with respect to this guy, the clinic I was with you at Forreston, you recommended Jeff Bryce lineup card management.
Yes.
I think that is actually more of a concise explanation of this, to be honest with you. And that's just my personal opinion.
Well, I'm going to play Jeff's as well.
Okay.
But it just kind of like gives two different perspectives of it. With
Yeah.
Jeff's, I like Jeff's because it actually shows the lineup card and add some other things in there with the um, courtesy runners and things of that nature. So that's why I like Jeff's. But yeah, I agree. Jeff's is a bit more concise. This goes into a bit more detail and trying to, I think, give a better idea as to, okay, everybody has a job. How many jobs do they have? What
Yeah.
job can they do? So, but
Yeah, I understand where he's coming from, but I think it's confusing enough. I think kind of keeping it concise is better, to be honest with you, in my opinion.
okay, I appreciate that. No, I mean, I'm learning on this as well. So, I mean, this is one of the first times I've used this video. So, that's good feedback for me to have. So, I appreciate that.
Sure.
Anybody else have any thoughts? Okay.
Action to the lineup management. We've all done the lineup management where we show, okay, mark this out, kind of like what I did quickly on that part of the presentation. And we move people around and those kind of things. But this actually gives you a little bit of action to it. There's, again, physical movement, which helps those kinesthetic learners. I can never say that right. Hopefully I got it close. Understand the concepts better. It also adds some visual movement to it. So this is one of our standard players, right? They've got an offensive job and a defensive job. If my DP plays defense for them, I take their mitt and I put it on the DP slide. But it also visually shows I've still got a bat, so I've still got a job. So I'm still in the game. Okay. So again, it kind of gives that visual representation of jobs and being in the game or not in the game. Again, it's just little arts and crafts, right? Got a little Velcro so we can move things around. But that's kind of what we do there. So again, suggested props. That's one of them, is to have something like that or whatever works for you. But this is one. So those laminated sheets for everybody in the lineup on our DP Flex, you notice these are white. These are the ones who are standard players. The DP and the Flex have a different colored bat because it's special, right? Because if the Flex takes it, they have to be in the DP spot. So they are taking the DP's bat. Again, representing that I am batting for the DP. That's the only place I can bat. I can only use their bat. Make sense? So that's why they're a little bit different color to show that. Hopefully I put that back in the right order because we'll find out in a minute. Again, other laminated pieces like I just showed on that one. If the DP is going to play defense, I can take their mitt and I can move it over to the DP. I can show you still got a bat, still got a job, still in the game. So again, just that visual cue and that kinesthetic of moving things around just helps some learners click a little bit better. So the other thing we suggest is to use some chairs for eligible subs. So if you get all 14 people for this 14-person lineup, you'll have 4 people sitting in chairs that are subs because they're not in the game, right? So the setting down represents not being in the game. So the other one is when someone leaves the game, they're going to sit. So we'll put it, that's why this chair's here and it's going to be the 4th spot in the lineup. So when they leave the game, they'll show that they're out of the game. Okay. So again, just another physical, visual representation of how things are moving in and out of the lineup. Again, those laminated pieces, if you want something to put on them, you can put like an X over them or something that when they completely left the game a second time and showing they're no longer eligible. Again, some visual for some people. It helps. Again, showing the DP Flex. They have different colored mitts and bats because those two are kind of locked together, if you will. So now when I show that my Flex is going to bat for my DP, I can actually take their bat, put it onto the Flex's card, and now it shows my DP here. What don't they have? They don't have a job. They're not batting. They're not playing defense. They don't have a job. So what have they done? They left the game, right? So again, that visual representation of they don't have a job. They need to sit down. So now, again, like I showed a little bit here, but showing it again, if 24, our DP is going to play defense for someone other than our flex, we take that mitt, we move it over to the DP's card, and now we show that number 20, they're still in the game. They've still got their bat. They've still got a job. So again, visually, you see that. That's why they haven't left the game, because they're still doing the offensive job. Okay? So if we're going to do this in the full fashion, if you've got 50 people in the room or something, get 14 of them up that can fill all of those positions. Again, those 4 substitutes would start off sitting in a chair because they're not in the game. They don't have a job. So when we look at the sub cards down here, they're empty. They got their Velcro so they can take a job, but they don't have a job. So they would be sitting down to start the game. Cool? So again, if we have limited resources or limited room, we need a minimum of 4 people. And the asterisks show those 4 that are required, because those are the ones in this example that we're going to move people in and out on. You obviously can create your own examples and move in, put more subs, and do whatever you want to with that, following the same kind of process. But again, that indicates those required spots for the 5 exercises that are in this PowerPoint that'll be there whenever you all get it. So again, we can just have those. You can also tape these if you've only got 4 volunteers that'll come up. You can take chairs and tape these onto those chairs, because those are the ones that are stationary or stay throughout the whole game. So you can just have them taped on different chairs to show their position in the lineup. So you don't lose anything from that. Again, we need to have a chair. Like I said, this will be behind spot number 4. That'll be behind spot number 10. So when the DP or the flex leave the game, they can sit down, showing that they've now left the game. Okay, and then we keep the person who's in front of them here so that we know they're still in that lineup spot. So how we would organize that, and again, these boxes are just to kind of show that we keep them in an area. We don't physically put a box up, but that's just kind of showing they're going to try and represent that lineup spot. So we try to keep them in line. And again, that's what it's going to look like. The 4 subs will be sitting in chairs because they're not in the game when we start. And now, if we're going to have movement for the first example that we have here, now is what we just talked about, where the flex is going to bat for the DP. So I'm going to show the flex playing offense. They're going to take that bat, and I'm going to move it over to the flex. Now, like we talked about, the DP doesn't have a job anymore, right? So they've left the game. So they're going to go up and take a seat because they're still in that spot in the lineup, but they've now left the game. So I'm also going to show, like I showed with that little arrow coming up, I'm going to have my flex come up and be in the 4th position in the lineup, because that's where they're batting. Make sense? Again, that physical movement helps some people really click in of how that works back and forth. So any questions on how we set that up? 3 and 18 is my flex. And then do I have one more?
I need one more.
I need one more. Can we move this way just a little bit? And that, yeah, there you go. And then this is going to be behind you, actually. So if you can come over here for me. Yeah. I need number 6. Here you go. And you get to start off sitting down. In that chair. All right. Yep, I think I'm good now. Okay, so Don, if we can bring that chair over just a little bit. I'll cheat just a little bit on you. How's that? Because you'll be under that, so that'll be good. Okay, so you'll be right next to Andy, in between them. Okay, so we've got everybody standing up now. Here's our 10 lineup spots. Okay, our flex is in the 10th, our DP is in the 4th, and we have 1 sub. Okay, we got 3 more, but we got 1. Don's taking it for all of them. He doesn't have a job, right? So that's why he's sitting down. He's not in the game yet, but he's eligible. He's an eligible substitute. Okay, so let's see how this works. So the coach wants to have the DP bats and gets on base. I'm sorry. And then they want Green to run for Jones. So Green is my flex. So they want Green to run for Jones. So I'm going to take your bat. I'm going to give it to you. Okay. You don't have a job, so you sit down. Now I'm going to have you come up here and just stand in front of him in that 4th spot. Okay. So again, just a physical representation of, we have our columns, if you will, for each spot in our lineup. That's what's happening in our 4th position. Okay. Make sense? So now we go later. They're no longer playing offense. They've left their game. So 2 innings later, Green signals to left. The offensive coach asks for time to make a change. Smith is running for Green, and Green will still be playing right field. Okay, so we talked about this earlier, and I'm going to highlight it again. At this point, Smith is going to go back to playing right field. So it's clear as an umpire now that I know that flex is going to go back to playing defense only. By the way that coach told me that, I know that. But remember, we had that option of you could come in for the flex or you could come in for the DP. So it's important to know the coach actually said it correctly so that now I know without having to ask again. So again, Smith running for Green, that's my 2 options. It could be in the flex position or in the DP position. But by saying that, by actively listening, isn't that good game management, to active listen? I understand the second part of the coach's statement. Green will still be playing right field. So now, when we put that up there, we know I'm going to take that bat back. You can go back to playing defense only for me. You're back in the game. You got your bat back. And now he stands up because he's back in the game. He's got a job again. He's playing offense. Okay? So just by physically moving those parts around and having, that physical movement, it helps click in with some people. Make sense? Cool. So again, Green remains in the game playing right field, and they have never left the game because they always played defense. That mitt never moved off that card, did it? So they've never left the game. They've always done their defensive job. Sound good? All right. How many more we want to go through? Because I know time-wise we're getting a little slim. So, but that it just continues in that same vein. Okay, we just bring in when number 6 comes in the game, he's going to take that bat and that glove from somebody, and they'll go. I'm sorry. One more. Okay, we'll do one more. So we talked about this. Green's playing defense. They've never left the game. Again, they never quit using their mitt. So now in the 4th inning, the offensive coach asked for time to make another change. Jones to re-enter and bat for Smith. Okay? So I'm going to have Smith, you're going to be in position number 4. We'll bring you over here. We're going to steal your bat. Okay, what does 24 not have? They don't have a job. So they sit down again. They've left the game. Now you're the one who's going to be in that column for number 4. Cool? So again, physical movements, visual cues of how that movement has actually happened. Sound good? So, awesome. Yes. Okay. So let's do this. And there's one of the exercises in here, but we've got Don here, who's my DP, right? They're playing offense, right? They have their bat. Now let's say that number 22 here has some issues with her ankle and needs to get taped. So go ahead and get taken care of, right? Now she stays there in that spot in her lineup, but Don takes her mitt. And now he's playing offense and defense. Just look at her card. She's still got her bat. So she's still playing offense. She has never left the game. Still got a job. That makes sense? So that's one of the big ones that shows people of that's something that blows people's mind is how can you still be in the game if you're not playing defense? Because
on that last year, the other coach didn't understand.
Yeah,
they haven't left the game.
Yeah, because they still got it. But by doing this, now you've got that physical representation and that visual cue of, oh yeah, they still got their bat. Again, it's 5th grade arts and crafts, right? But it's some people that really clicks it in of, oh yeah, they still got a bat. That's why they haven't left the game. So that helps with that. That make sense? Everybody good? Cool?
All right. So any questions on that? Any thoughts on using the visualization, having the people standing up, moving back and forth? Was that somewhat helpful or more confusing?
Okay, so let me understand this right. So he was moving people around and putting them back. So the guy that was in the number 10 spot got moved to the number 4 spot, but he's not in the number 4 spot for the batting order, correct?
No, he would be in the number 4 spot for the batting order because he has gone in for the DP. The DP was in the 4 spot. The flex, who was in the 10 spot, now took over the 4 spot, took over his bat, So the DP is now out of the game. He's been substituted for by the flex because the flex and the DP are married, is the way I put it. So the only place that the DP can, or excuse me, the only place that the flex can play offense is in the 4 spot in this lineup. And at that point, the flex went in for the DP to bat or run or whatever they made for that substitution piece. Um, so that was, the substitution for the DP. The flex is now in the number 4 spot in the lineup. So they're down to 9 players on their lineup card because the flex is no longer in the 10 spot. They're in the 4 spot. So now they've gone from 10 to 9 because the DP is out and the flex is in the 10 spot. Okay. Yeah. It might make a little bit easier sense whenever I go through Jeff's video because he does it straight on the lineup card instead of having people moving back and forth. Um, I kind of agree with you, Ed. I kind of like Jeff's video better. Just because I can see where that can get very, very confusing and, everybody's kind of bunched in that classroom that he did this in. So, any other questions on that, or maybe why don't we just do the other lineup card management and see how that plays out in everybody's head and see what kind of questions we come from with that. Of course, you logged me out.
Was that video that he made, was that for clinicians like you to try to help you make people understand it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it wasn't unhelpful, but it was a little more confusing.
I agree. I think, like you were saying, I think it was something that's kind of more geared towards me as a clinician, giving
Mhm.
me ideas as to how to maybe do it in a clinic setting, with the visual of having, people that are there getting up, participating, and kind of moving people around. But
Yeah.
uh, I think in the video it did at times made it more confusing even for me, where I kind of already know I know the rules and I know how it plays out.
Yeah, right.
Now, lineup card management is something that's very important as well. And before I play this, I like to go on the record is like, if you don't have a lineup card holder, get a lineup card holder. They're great tools to have. It's a great way of keeping your lineups clean. Um, and it's a lot easier to write on that than trying to write on a piece of paper on your hand while you're trying to hold your mask and everything else. Lineup card holders are a godsend, um, especially if you're in a situation where you're getting had to suspend the game because of darkness or because of weather. If you have a clean looking lineup card, the lineups need to go to the home team head coach, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get the makeup on that game or the continuation of that game. So having a good lineup card and having it clean and legible will save, if I have a good lineup card, it's going to save Ed knowing what the positions are, how many substitutions there are, how many people are in the game, how many are out of the game, how many have reentries. Um, it takes things and makes things a lot less confusing for your partner who's coming in to uh, finish that game for you if you don't happen to get reassigned to it. But like I say, invest in a lineup card holder. If you're coming to the Wheaton clinic, purchase officials are going to be there. They'll have them there for sale. You know, so please look into getting that and having multiple colored pens in your pocket.
Right.
My name is Jeff Bryce. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about good lineup card management and DP Flex. That way you can tell who's in and who's out. Let's get started. At the coaches meeting, receive lineup card from the coach, verify the lineup card, visiting team first. More and more schools are using pre-printed lineup cards. So for this demonstration, we're going to be using a pre-printed lineup card. Be sure first, last names, numbers, and positions are printed or written on the card. If the card is pre-printed with first and last names on the bottom, as you can see as this card is, first name will not be needed to be duplicated in the actual lineup card section. When reviewing lineup card, circle all the starters on the lineup card. This will help you ensure no duplicate numbers are listed. Also to help you know who your legal substitutes will be. Those are going to be the non-circled players. On a handwritten lineup card, be sure substitutes are handwritten on the bottom of the lineup card. Review and verify if the coach is using the DP Flex. As you can see on this lineup, we are using the DP Flex. As a reminder, by rule, if team wants to use a DP Flex, it must be placed on the lineup card to start the game. It cannot be added after the lineup card has been verified and made official at the coaches conference. After you've totally reviewed and verified all the information on the lineup card, ask the coach to review one last time. This is going to ensure the lineup is correct. Once the coach states that the lineup is correct, you now tell the coach the lineup is official, which means any changes made at this point are now official changes. Be sure to do this procedure with both coaches. After both coaches have done their lineup and they have made it beneficial, ask the coaches if they would like to make any changes at this time. On some occasions, a coach may want to place the flex in for the DP to move down to 9 players. As I mentioned before, if the coach started a game with only 9 players listed, the coach would not have the flexibility to go to 10 players later in the game if they need to do so. If a coach wanted that change at the coaches conference, you would need to make that change on the lineup card at that time. To make that change in the lineup card, you would place an X for flex in the change column next to the DP number 10. Place a small number 1 next to the X to show this change happened in the first inning. Too long of a story for me to tell you in this presentation on why I do this, but trust me, in some game you're going to be working, you're going to be glad you did. This change now means that the DP number 10 is out of the game and only has one more re-entry. Verify with the opposing coach that he or she has noted that change and that the team is now down to 9 players. Remind the coach that any other changes to their lineups needs to be reported to you. After lineup cards are made official, if you haven't done so already, review all the other items you need to review at the coaches conference. After the conference has been completed, be sure to report the changes that you made at the coaches conference to the official scorer. In many cases, this could be the home team scorebook. Now let's review other lineup changes that may occur during the game and how to log those changes on your lineup card. In the second inning, coach wants number 9 in for number 21. First, you're going to look for number 9 on the list as for the rostered players. As you can see, number 9 doesn't have a circle around her number, which means she is a legal substitute. Place a circle around number 9 to indicate she is now entering the game. I want to mention a couple things. When taking a lineup change, have the coach next to you and show him or her the change you are making on your lineup card to be sure that that is the change he or she wants to make. Then after you make that change on your lineup card, you must report that change to the opposing head coach and the official scorebook. Now place number 9 in the change column for 21. Place a small number 2 next to the number 9 to show inning that was made. In the third inning, coach wants the player number 8 to courtesy run for the pitcher. Review your roster for number 8 to be sure she is a legal substitute. As you can see, 8 has no circle around her name. She is a legal substitute. Place a P for pitcher in the margin on the lineup card. Then the number 8 with a small 3 to indicate that number 8 is courtesy running for the pitcher in the third inning. Again in the third inning, the coach wants to re-enter the DP number 10. Place the number 10 with a small 3 in the change column to indicate the DP number 10 has re-entered the game in the third inning. When reporting this to the opposing coach and the official scorer, remind them that the team is now back to 10 players. Again in the third inning, coach wants to place the flex in for the DP. Remind the coach that if he or she does this, number 10 is out of the game because she has used up her reentry rule. If the coach states he or she is aware of that, make the change by first placing an X for flex in for the DP number 10. Then circle number 10, indicating that number 10 is now out of the game. In both cases, place a small 3 indicating the change happened in the third inning. Then reminding the opposing coach and the official scorer the team is now back down to 9 players. Another change in the third inning, coach wants number 2 to courtesy run for the catcher. Review roster to be sure number 2 is a legal substitute. She is a legal substitute because she has no circle by her name indicating that she has not entered the game. Place a C for catcher in the margin followed by the number 2 with a small 3, indicating number 2 is courtesy running in the third inning for the catcher. In the fourth inning, coach calls time and wants a defensive conference. On a marker on your lineup card, indicated as you can see on the top of our lineup card here, place a D for defense, followed by the number 1 with a small 4, indicating the team has taken their first defensive conference in the game. Team only gets 3 different defensive conferences in 7 innings before the team must remove the pitcher. An important reason for logging these conferences, which means if coach asks for another defensive conference, you would place a number 2 for the next one, then a number 3 for the next one, along with next to the D with a small number indicating which inning the conference was taken. In the fourth inning, coach wants to place number 2 in for 15. As we've done with other changes, review roster to ensure number 2 is a legal substitute. As you can see, number 2 does not have a circle around her name, indicating she has not been substituted into the game. Yes, she was a courtesy runner, but by rule, courtesy running is not a substitution entry into the game. Place a circle around number 2, indicating she's entering the game. Then the change column for 15, place the 2 with a small 4, indicating 2 has replaced 15 and entering in the fourth inning. In the fifth inning, coach wants a courtesy run number 2 again for the catcher. Yes, number 2 did courtesy run for the catcher, but you are not going to allow this change. As you can see, number 2 now has a circle around her name, which means she's no longer a legal substitute in order to courtesy run. Not allowing that change, the coach now wants number 8 to run for the catcher because she is a legal substitute. That is true. However, you're still not going to allow this change. Number 8 was courtesy runner for the pitcher. By rule, either courtesy run for the pitcher or catcher, but you can't run for both. Coach wants courtesy runner number 5, catcher now. Review your lineup card roster. As you can see, number 5 does not have a circle around her number. which means she has not entered the game and is a legal substitute. You will allow and write this change on your lineup card. In the 5th inning, coach wants to place number 20 in as DP. Review your roster to be sure 20 is a legal substitute. As you can see, 20 does not have a circle around her number, which indicates she is a legal substitute. Place a circle around 20, indicating that she is entering the game. Place number 20 in the change column with a small 5 in the DP slot. Indicate that 20 in the 5th inning has entered the game as DP, and the team is now back to 10 players. As always, notifying the opposing head coach and the official scorebook. Something to help you in regard to the DP flex. The coach can keep interchanging the DP and flex positions as many times as they want, as long as they have legal substitutes to do so. As you can see in our exercise here, we interchanged the DP and flex positions 4 times. We're able to do this because the team still had a legal substitute number 20 to replace number 10, who used up her substitutions. As you can see, this team could continue to interchange the DP flex position many more times. 20 still has 1 reentry, and player 5, 8, and 23 are still legal substitutes. You can see that because number 5, 8, and 23 don't have circles around their names. With the 4 changes we made, the flex player, number 19, has never left the game. She's either been in the 10th or 4th position on your lineup card. I hope this was helpful. A key part to this exercise is record all, and I want to emphasize all lineup card changes on your lineup card. Good lineup card management may save you from an issue someday. So make sure that you have good lineup card management. Thank you, and have a great season. Her name.
All right. Any questions, thoughts on Jeff's presentation here?
Yes, question.
Okay.
So I don't remember if it was you, Dave, or if it was in the first presentation, but he said, do the home coach first. And then right in the very beginning here, this presentation said, do the visiting coach first. I'm curious what you might have as far as additional thoughts on that.
It was me who said about doing the home team first. I've always done the home team. I don't know that it's necessarily in the book that's the protocol. I generally do it just because they're the home team. They're, entertaining the guests, and I give them that courtesy of checking their stuff out first. Um, you know, it's just my habit. I know on the NCAA level, we always do the home team first, and I've just carried that into the high school level as well.
Okay, thanks. Just curious.
No problem. It's a good question.
Also, if you ever get a lineup card with this much white space, yeah.
Yeah, good luck finding that.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of times, the teams will have all of their substitutes in this space here. Even though there is some open white space in below, typically I will be making a suggestion to those coaches. Hey, next time, if you could, maybe put all your subs underneath the 10 players in your lineup, just because that gives me the ability to write down your substitutes and substitutions that you're going to be putting in, the numbers and the players and everything else. But yeah, trying to find that is few and far between. And then, there are some coaches out there that have 8x11 sheets of paper that you have to try and fold up and carry around. Another thing, Jeff talked about in here is with the defensive conferences. You also want to keep track of offensive conferences. There's a, because how many offensive conferences can a team have in any given inning?
One.
Right. So I had this happen that, like I say, I keep the offensive conferences and, I put down more information than what Jeff does. I put down the situation, the batter, how many people were on base, what the count is, all of those things. I had a team call for an offensive conference, granted it, documented it, and then they went on a tear of a run, like betting around the order. And the third base coach, the head coach, once again wants to have another conference with a player because they weren't getting the sign. It's like, no, coach, sorry, you've already had your conference this inning. Oh, no, I haven't. Oh, yes, you have. I have it right here on my lineup card. You can see it was at this point, you had one out, runners on first and second, and it's like, so it's good to do that. So you have preventative umpiring with that piece as well. So, um, you do have a lot of white space on this. I tend to use the back of the lineup card for keeping track of the conferences. And I'd have the defensive conference, I have offensive conferences, and I also have a W. So I do DC, OC, and W. And my W stands for warnings. Hopefully, I don't have too many in there, but I do have a place to document warnings if need be. So just like I say, little tip, take it for what it's worth. Another thing that you see on with Jeff's card, he just circles uh, number 10 here, that they are now out and done for the game. You can do it in any number of ways. Myself personally, I would come down and draw a line through her name and number to denote to myself that, you know, this person is done for the day, not eligible for any more re-entries. So again, whatever works best for you and helps you keep track of things within your lineup card. Any
You
other
were
thoughts?
talking about a Rolodex of colors. I generally just carry a red and a black.
Okay.
What else would you use the colors for?
Um, Honestly, I would not use black. I generally keep red, a green, and maybe a purple in my bag, just because you don't want to have matching colors. And a lot of coaches will use blue or black for their lineup cards. So I want to have a color that is going to be able to differentiate between what they have. The reason why I carry the three different colors is because there's one school out here in Fox Valley, Huntley. Their coach uses red ink. So it's like, but that's what he's always done, his team colors. So I make sure I have a green or, like I say, a purple. So like I say, so that's the reason why I have the multiple colors. Um, Dan has one of the pens that has like four colors that are you can flip down on. So you have multicolor, one pen but has multiple color uh, ink in it. So again, whatever works. But again, you want to have something that's going to be you're able to differentiate what you're putting on the lineup card. And again, that'll make it easier. If I do that, it's going to make it easier for you, Eric, to see, oh, okay, this person came in this inning and, whatnot. And that was a change made by me or by whoever the other umpire was. Any other questions on lineup card management or the DP flex?
Okay, as far as coaches conference, like let's say offense or defense is out there warming up, coach comes out and just kind of has a talk with the catcher and proceeds to talk to the pitcher. Do you classify that as a conference?
Is this between innings? Is it when are we talking?
Yes, between innings.
Um, if it's delaying the game, then that would be considered a conference. Um, a lot of times you'll see in between innings, the coach comes in, grabs the softball and, you know, rubs it up, waiting for the pitcher to come out, tosses it to her, and Um, you know, may say a thing or two and then walk off. I'm not going to call that a conference. Um, if he's standing out there, you know, let me ask this question of you. How much time between innings does a defensive team have to warm up?
2 minutes.
No,
1 minute. 1 minute.
1 minute. Oh,
one
it's
minute.
shrunk. 1 minute now, huh? Okay.
So they have 60 seconds. So he wants to talk for that 60 seconds and hold up, their warm ups. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, Dave, when does that 60 seconds start?
It starts as soon as the defensive team has crossed in, all the defensive players have crossed the fair foul line.
Wrong. That's the NC2A rule.
Okay, then when does it start, Margaret?
It starts at the last out of the last point.
Yes, at the third out.
Okay, so you start your 60 seconds then. I give them a little extra time.
I do too.
But in any event, so they only have 60 seconds between innings. And if the coach is out there, and you're counting in your head, you got 45 seconds, they've got 15 seconds to finish their warm up. If they don't get it done, penalty's it's a ball for the batter. So you want to try and keep the game going, keep game management going, and saying, Coach, we got to keep moving here. Um, it's not something that's called, I would say, very often, if at all. Um, and unless you have a coach that's really nitpicking the opposing team and has a vendetta and is jumping all over things. But just keep that in mind that you want to keep the game moving. So, if he does want to stay out there and takes it over the 60 seconds, like, Coach, you got a conference or a ball in the batter, pick one. So he can choose what he wants to do, or she can choose what they want to do. Good question. Anything else?
How long do you let the conference go if it's just a normal, defensive conference? How long do you let it go?
I I give them typically I'll let them get out there. I write down my information as far as, documenting that there's a defensive conference going on, see how they're doing, take my time, clean the plate, kind of see how long they're going, and start to do a slow walkout and work my way out. And typically I try and be on behind the coach, and the players see me coming and just give them, okay, coach, let's go. We got to play ball. I don't necessarily have a 1 minute time frame or a 2 minute time frame. I try and give them some space, and then, like I say, I just use my judgment, but I try and make sure that it's equal on both sides. That I do the same type routine, so that they're not saying, "Well, you gave them all this time, you didn't give me hardly any time." So that's why I just kind of use my routine. Margaret, I see your stuff pop up. You got something?
That I had unmuted myself. One of the topics of discussion that I've been having with our wonderful crossover world is player to player conferences and people not allowing runners to come off of bases.
Okay.
On a player to player, is everybody aware that they are allowed to remove from their, I can't remember what the verbiage is right now because I'm a little high for my surgery, but that they are allowed to come off of the bases during a player to player conference?
So what Margaret's talking about here is, say the catcher goes out to talk to the pitcher, and there's a runner on second base, and she leaves the base to go over and talk to the third base coach. She is allowed to do that without it being charged as an offensive conference. But whenever the player to player breaks up, the catcher breaks from the pitcher, that runner better be back at second base ready to go. But yeah, she is allowed to go and talk to the coach if there's a player to player, what we call player to player conference with like the catcher, or if the infielders go over and going in to talk to the pitcher, that kind of thing, that they're, excuse me, huddling up and discussing the strategy. But if that runner's not ready to continue the game, they've unnecessarily delayed things. So therefore, then you can charge them with an offensive conference. Good point, Margaret. Not bad for being high after your surgery. Anything else? Any other questions?
I try to contribute the little things sometimes, Dave.
Oh, I know. And you do it very well. Thank you. And just so you know, you'll be on YouTube with this as well because it's being recorded.
No one knows who I am.
Oh, I'm going to put it out in an email. All right. Any other thoughts, remarks, in generalized questions? It doesn't necessarily have to be around lineup card or DP flex that we've been talking about today.
Dave, what's the limit on a catcher going out to talk to the pitcher? That is not a defensive conference, correct?
That is correct. It is not considered a defensive conference. There is no limit within IHSA. I would try and strongly suggest that they keep it to a minimum, or those are the conferences that if they start getting out of control, I might go out a little bit faster to break it up. If it's getting to be like she's going, the catcher's going out there every 3 pitches or something like that, it's like, come on, we got to keep playing the game here.
Thank you.
Any other generalized questions? All right, well, that pretty much covers everything that I've had for tonight, unless, like I say, if you got some other questions, some other topics that you want to go over. All right. So next week, like I said, we'll start on the test, go through some of that. I did have an email that I had gotten earlier today wanting to know about talking about pitching and issues, or, replants, what's legal, what's illegal. So we'll look to cover some of that next week as well, and maybe get into some conflict resolution, uh, and how to handle some coaches, how to handle situations, what's going to be best practice on helping your partner out, um, as far as, not letting things get too far escalated, and being ready to escort a coach if he's ejected himself, uh, and it wasn't by you, making sure that your partner's protected, what you would do if you were the umpire that helped the person find out that they ejected themselves, and what you should be doing at that point. But I hope the DP Flex pieces were beneficial. Like I say, I know that can be very confusing. And again, if there's anything that comes up, you can always feel free to give me a shout, text message, call. Uh, Again, if I don't have you in my contact list, leave a message. I will get back with you. So next week it'll be the same thing. Tuesday, 7 o'clock, going to like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I appreciate everybody being here, and uh, your commitment to getting better, and looking forward to a good season here.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
You're welcome.
Bye
Have a
now.
great night, everybody. Have a great week,
Yeah.
and we'll see you Tuesday.
Thanks, David. You
Thanks.
too, Dave. Bye now.
So long. Good night, everybody.
Good night, John Boy.
So Dave, real quick,
Sure.
When I talked to you the other night about shirts and coats, according to that site that you gave me, they're only offering the IHSA on the sleeve, and the front is optional. The chest is optional
On the jacket?
on the shirts.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
shirts were all saying that the IHSA is listed on the shirt sleeve, and if you want it on the chest, then it's an additional $7, which I went ahead and went that way. But you know,
Yeah.
they don't give you the option of just saying you want it on the front, you don't want it on the sleeve. So
Okay, the shirts, yes, the shirts you have to have it on the sleeve,
okay,
and the chest is optional. On the jackets, your pullover, your winter jacket, whatever, that's the one where you want it on the chest.
okay, okay.
Okay. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This on the shirts, they are sleeve for sure, and then option with the chest.
Okay. All right. And then the shirts, the navy blue, they were only listing it as a navy blue and red. Red being on the lower part of the sleeve. They didn't offer it in a blue. All they offered it was in a red,
Hang on a second.
according to the website.
Right. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording on this and
Yep.